Okay, so I am super excited to make this video and for this to be the first actual fishing video on this channel. And by the title, you can tell what we're fishing for. And I kind of hinted at it in the last video, I think. And that is musky or the muskilinge, the fish of 10,000 casts. First, I want to go over like my plan in this video. So first, I'm going to go in a little introduction talking about like the fish I could potentially catch in this video, the location I'm going to be fishing, and some other stuff like that. And then I'm going to have the actual fishing type stuff. So if you just want to see the actual fishing, you can skip ahead because whatever this background is will not be the background in the actual fishing. So you can just skip ahead. And I might have timestamps or something if I can figure out how to do that. But for now, this is just going to be the actual like introduction type part. But if I understand if you don't want to see this type of stuff and you just want to see the actual fishing, you can just skip ahead. So my first part of this plan is to go to a creek really close to my house and set a minnow trap overnight, and then catch some bait fish. And the reason why I want to use minnows specifically is because I'm also going to be throwing some lures, and I will go over which lures I am throwing. But the reason why I want to get some minnows is live bait works really well for musky, just because the older, wiser musky that have seen lures before, I mean, live bait can catch just about anything as well. And those older musky that are more experienced sometimes will just about only take live bait, so because they are a very smart fish. But even though even for fish other than musky, like I can catch any of the other fish I'm going to list in a little bit with live bait. So that's why using live like creek chubs and other small minnows, I think is a really good strategy. So let's just get right into the like possible species that we could be seeing in this episode. So first, the little tiny creek behind my house, there's a variety of minnows, a very small number of bluegill slash sunfish species. I've caught one in a minnow trap before, and I've used minnow traps a lot in that creek, and I've only caught one baby one. And I do remember a long time ago seeing one like decent sized fish. It probably was like a 8-inch bluegill. That's about what it looked like size wise, but I'm not 100% sure. I never caught that fish though, and it might have not even been a fish, but that's what at least it looked like to me. But that would be considered a really big fish for this creek. And I do know that there at least was one bass at one time, because one of the bass I had as a pet, I released there, because I knew it would have a ton of prey with the amount of minnows and stuff there. So really that's the only fish species that I could even maybe catch. Well, and like some darters, like stuff like that. And then there's like crayfish, but they're not really fish, so that's why I didn't talk about them. But the only like true river monster that I could catch out of there, see, is a snapping turtle, which I have seen a few down in there. But, that's not really fish either. And I'm kind of making this like river monsters theme just because Jeremy Wade's like my biggest fishing inspiration, and musky are like a river monster, really. So other than those types of fish, one other thing about that little creek, I believe it's one of the creeks that flows into Lake Cumberland, but I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. And now going in the actual fishing location. Where I'm going to be fishing is Goose Creek, which is a creek, stream, river type system that flows through the city of Manchester and Clay County and some other surrounding counties. Some fish that I'm 100% sure are in there. I know there's rock bass. I've not caught a rock bass out of there, but I've been told by a pretty reliable source that they said that was the only fish in there, but I know that's not true because I've caught other species out of there. But the rock bass I know are in there. It's one of the 4 species that Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife has data on for Goose Creek. So at least they were in there at one time. And then the next species that I know is in there that I haven't caught is smallmouth bass. Well, I have caught smallmouth bass before. I'll probably put a picture right here. And after the smallmouth, which I know are in there because that's one of the other 4 species that Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife has data on. There's spotted bass also in there. I've caught spotted bass before, but I'm not 100% sure if I've caught one out of Goose Creek. And another bass species that they don't have data on is largemouth bass. I thought I saw largemouth bass in there before, but thinking back, those could have been spots because they were little bass, but you could tell they weren't smallmouth, so they might have actually been spots. But considering we are in Kentucky, they very likely could actually have been just spots, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if they actually were largemouth. But there's no data, at least from Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, on largemouth being in Goose Creek. And then after the bass species, and rock bass is more like, I think technically like a sunfish type. And I mean, I know bass are sunfish, but I think they're more closely related to like bluegill and stuff. But as far as the other bass, the fish other than bass, there are walleye that they have data on. And walleye, I don't believe I've ever caught a walleye. Maybe. Actually, there is one time I think I might have caught one out of Laurel Lake, which does have walleye in it, but this was such a long time ago that I'm not 100% sure if it was a walleye. And also on walleye, I think there's sauger in here, so there could be the hybrid being saugeye. And we will talk about another really cool hybrid here in a little bit, but I know walleye are in here because it's another one of the species they have data on. And I would love to catch a walleye, especially a good-sized one, since I know I haven't caught a bigger walleye. And then after walleye, which is one of the other 4, if I didn't mention, on the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, the fish that I have seen / caught 100%, there's a variety of minnow species, kind of like my creek. The whatever species of bass I saw, either a spot or a largemouth. Then I've caught bluegill and green sunfish, and the star of this episode being musky itself. And some other species that could be in there that I don't really have any data to back it up by are crappie, just because there's crappie in a ton of lakes around here and a ton of ponds around here, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were some crappie, but I don't really have any data to prove that, so I'm not going to say that there's 100% crappie in there. Another species that I could see in here, actually I've been told by somebody, and they had a picture of it, but I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but it did look like it, that there are tiger muskie in this creek, which is really cool. And if you don't know what a tiger muskie is, it's a hybrid between a northern pike and a muskie, and I think they get either in between the size of a pike and a muskie, or the size of a muskie, and muskie do get bigger if you don't know. So I don't know if they are stocked, or this could mean that there's northern pike in here as well. But I don't have any data to back up that there are pike. And Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife doesn't say that pike are in Kentucky, but there is a record pike that has been caught in Kentucky. It was only like 10 pounds, but still, so it's kind of weird. So I don't know if it was a pike that somebody had released, but there has been a pike caught in Kentucky, but Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife doesn't list pike as a native species, which is kind of weird. And then after those species, we have, due to just the amount of northern species that I've mentioned already, like the musky, walleye, and smallmouth, which are normally northern species, like musky, this is one of the most southern places you can catch musky, because I am in Kentucky, which is right around the middle of the states, but it is one of the more southern places you can catch muskie. It's one of the things I love about being in the state of Kentucky. I can catch the more northern species like walleye, muskie, trout, smallmouth, but I can also catch a bunch of the southern species like largemouth, but largemouth you can pretty much catch anywhere in the U.S., and channel cats and all that you can catch pretty much wherever, but I can catch a good variety of species where I am, which is really awesome. And then there's 4 species of I've been told at least that there's trout and catfish in Goose Creek, but they didn't say specifically what type of catfish or trout, and they're not registered as species on Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, which I've referenced a ton already, but I've been told that there are trout and catfish in there. I don't know which species of catfish. They could be flathead, they could be channel, they could be blue, or they could be like a bullhead for all I know. I don't really have a clue. But there's also supposedly trout in there. And Kentucky does have 4 species of trout. We have cutthroat. I don't know which of the specific, like if it's a cutthroat or greenback or whatever type of cutthroat, but cutthroat are usually a more western species, but we apparently do have them in Kentucky. I haven't caught a single trout though, so I'd love to catch one, just to see how they fight. But different species of fish fight very differently. And then other than cutthroat trout, we also have brook trout, which is unlike the cutthroat in that it's a more eastern species of trout, at least as far as the U.S. Then we have rainbow trout, which are a native species that you can pretty much catch anywhere in the U.S., at least that has trout. So you can't catch them super far south. Like I don't think you can catch trout in Florida. Maybe you can though. And then we have brown trout, which are the only non-native species, but they've been here for so long that they're just about considered. I mean, they're not really a native species, but we've had them here so long that they're not really considered invasive unless you introduce them into a body of water that hasn't had them before. And then after the trout, one thing that's really interesting about this creek is it doesn't really get much deeper than 10 feet at any spot. I think that's really about the deepest it gets. And that might be surprising because, this far south in an area that has musky, walleye, smallmouth bass, and it doesn't get very deep, it's because it's a constantly flowing creek/river system. So that's the only reason that these types of more northern, colder fish, and that's kind of the theory of why I think maybe perch and maybe pike could also live in this body of water, but I don't have any data for those ones. And now let's just get into the star of the show, being the muskie itself. I think this figure is actually supposed to be a tiger muskie, but muskie and tiger muskie look almost identical. It's just tiger muskie have some brighter stripes. And muskie, they are such a memorable fish. In fact, I can remember more times that I've simply seen a muskie than times that I've actually caught other fish of other species. And I'm super thankful that my dad actually recorded the first time I caught a muskie, because it would have been awesome just to get a picture of it, but to have a video of the time I caught it. But this was like 4 or 5 years ago, so yeah, I've changed a little bit since then, but we'll throw in that video right here.
What you got? Hold it up. Oh my goodness. Turn around here.
Get it. It's heavy.
Okay, so after that video, hopefully I get a updated version of that video today. Well, I guess it'll actually be tomorrow, because at the time of recording this part of the video, I've not actually went fishing for the muskie, so I might have caught the fish, but I might not have. But I'm going to make this video no matter if I catch it or not, just because with muskie, there's definitely no guarantee. It's not like bass where you're expecting to catch fish. You're hoping to catch fish with muskie. But they're such a memorable fish. So glad to have that video. But even if I didn't have the video, I remember it exactly. I know the exact location I caught it. And then the other times I've actually seen muskie, other than that video, in a different part of that same river system, which I will be fishing, I've seen 3 muskie in one day. One was like by the bank eating another fish. I don't remember what it was eating, but I do remember it was eating another fish, which was pretty cool to see. And then later, this was when we were fishing with minnows too. One attacked the minnow my dad was using, but it didn't get hooked. And then right as we were leaving, and like my dad had already went to the truck, but I was just standing by the bank. One swam right up by the bank. Oh, they're such cool fish. And then the other time I saw it was I was fishing a tournament in Green River Lake, which is a lake west of where I'm going to be fishing later in this video. I had one chasing a 4-inch lizard on a Ned rig, a Zoom lizard, which was really cool. I mean, because I wasn't really trying to catch muskie that day, but you know, if I could have caught a muskie, that would have been awesome. And I even remember what I was throwing each of those times. I'll show off the bait I actually caught it on, but I already mentioned the Zoom lizard, and then I was throwing minnows the day we saw 3, and that might have been the same muskie for all I know. And then I'll show off the bait but it was the bait that I actually caught one on was one of those cheap Bass Pro Shop lures, like the ones that are the Bass Pro Shop brand that they have a big tub of usually, that are only like $2 or $3. But funny enough, the lure did not actually work right. And when I get that lure at the end of this part, I will show what I mean by that. But it was not working right because I actually got it hung on a leaf. So it was kind of acting more like a topwater bait. But it did catch one. And it was on my 3rd cast on my birthday, actually. So it was a pretty good birthday present, to say the least. And that was the fish that really got me, I guess, hooked on fishing. And a big reason why muskie are my favorite fish, even though I've only caught one. I've already mentioned river monsters in this video, but this is one of the few fish I've caught that I really feel like is a river monster that at least I've caught. The only other real candidate though is the flathead catfish. And it's the one in my profile picture, at least at the time of recording this. My profile picture might be different if you're seeing this like a year from when I made it, but it is the one in my profile picture as of right now. And one of the features that make them like river monsters, in my opinion, is the fact that they're like the apex predators in their environment. They can get up to nearly 6 feet. That's longer than I'm tall, and I'm like 5'9". So that's pretty big. I don't think they get as big in this river system. Like the record one in Kentucky is like 20 pounds less than like the world record one. But I don't know if the state record one was in like Green River or like actual like Goose Creek. But I don't remember where I was going with that. But the muskie do get pretty big around here. Just I don't think they get as big as like they do at like the Great Lakes. Pretty much is what I'm saying. And like they're such apex predators. They eat whatever they want pretty much. They eat other fish. They eat like ducks. They eat like rodents. Like if mice try to swim across the creek and there's muskie, it don't end well for them usually. And then they even eat other muskie. Well, I'm 100% sure they will eat pike, but I think that they will eat smaller muskie given the opportunity. And I could go on and on about muskie, but at the time of recording this part of the video, I have no idea if I caught the muskie later in this video or get skunked. Actually, I do want to throw in one more part. I do remember the episode of River Monsters where Jeremy Wade caught the muskie in River Monsters, and it lives up to the name of Fish of 10,000 Casts. So I might have a few more thousand more to go before I'm even in the running. But he'd pretty much given up on catching the muskie and was like fishing for either perch or walleye. And he was not using gear suited for muskie, and he ended up catching a really good sized muskie. And if you haven't watched River Monsters, I 100% recommend it. It's one of the best shows, like not even just fishing shows. It teaches you geography, fishing, and it's just such a great show. And then if you like River Monsters, he also has Dark Waters, and I think Mighty Rivers, it's something like that. All three great. So I would definitely recommend. If you like fishing, 100% I would recommend. But even if you don't like fishing, I would recommend River Monsters. And like I said before, I have no idea if I've caught the muskie or if I get skunked. I'm kind of expecting not to catch one, just because, I mean, they call it the fish of 10,000 casts, and they don't call it that for nothing. In fact, I would be ecstatic just to see one. They're almost like mythological creatures. That is how I honestly feel about them. They're almost like Bigfoot or a unicorn, where they don't even feel real. But I know they're real since I've caught and touched one and have video proof of catching one. But even after all that, they still feel like some almost like magical creature that doesn't even feel real. And now I guess we're going to go to the actual creek and throw out the minnow trap, and then I guess we'll see if we caught anything. And right here, I will just throw in the picture of the flathead, because I'll probably end up changing the profile picture to the musky if I do catch one. So here's the picture of the flathead that I caught, which is the other fish I consider like a true river monster, like I said before. Okay, here we are at the creek. This is actually one of the deeper pockets in this in this creek. There are a few decent sized fish, decent sized minnows. But as far as actual, like, just straight up fishing, I only brought one pole, and all I have as far as bait is one little bluegill hook and one worm. So if we don't catch anything, I'm just gonna leave and then throw out the minnow trap and come back tomorrow. But can't hurt to try, does it? Probably should have put some bug spray on. If I haven't mentioned, well, if you're watching the video when it comes up, this is in the springtime, so everything's starting to grow right now, and all that good stuff. But also in this video, right before I actually go musky fishing, I'll show off some of the lures I'll be using. It's mainly just big bass stuff that, like, I could catch a good sized smallmouth on, but I could also catch like a musky on. So here we go, we got our little worm hooked up. Well, dropped his tail. We'll throw that out for something. But here we go. Hopefully we catch something. Just pooped on me. Dropped his stuff at least. So, actually, I'll throw one time in this pocket, just for the fun of it. I'm just gonna go. There's a little better spot, so I'll just get there and then I will. Okay, we're at. Oh crap! Well, there was something that I just scared. Either a snake or a lizard. One just dropped in. Maybe a turtle or a frog. Something though. So maybe we'll hunt him down in a second. Looks like we have a few minnows in this little part of the pocket, so we'll just drop them down in there. Hope for the best. Well, this is the rock I know that so I'm just going to drop in right here. Oh, we had one. Did he take my worm? Oh no, we still got our worm. It was a decent little size minnow. Not like a... I mean, it's a minnow. Is that my bass? No, that's a good little size minnow, actually. It's a pretty fat one. I mean, if I hook him, you'll see what I mean. He's still a minnow. But, good little size. Hope y'all can see that. Oh, he's got it again. And we lost him again. Okay, I'm going to throw it right in front of his mouth again. And he's just about to take the worm completely. So I guess I'm going to have to resituate this. Okay, we might get skunked because this minnow might take my worm. And we had him again. But I might should have brought even smaller hooks. It's a decent sized minnow, but still, it's a minnow. And still have our worm, but still haven't caught the fish either. Definitely a good sized one though. Would make a great musky bait. And I am very interested on what that was that we saw that just jumped in the water. Whether it was a turtle or a lizard or a snake or a frog or what. Our little buddy might be gone. I think he might have almost got hooked right then. I don't know if y'all, it's very clear, but okay, it looks like he might be done. There's a decent little size minnow. Might have to switch spots. Because now we're just starting to get little ones pecking at it. And they will peck it off. So I think we're going to switch spots and try to figure out what that thing was that jumped in the water. Okay, we're going to try to figure out what that was that jumped in. Hopefully it's not a snake. I'm hoping it's a turtle. Because that would be pretty cool. So we'll get our handy dandy little net and see what it was. It's probably under that rock, whatever it was, or up in that little brush area. So hopefully we find out whatever it was right here. Don't want it to get too muddy because then we won't even be able to see what it is. Doesn't look like it's in there, whatever it was. It's probably back on this side of the bank, if I was to guess. Well, I don't see where our little mystery animal went. I mean, I'll try to push him out. because it made a big noise, like something louder than a like a frog or something would, but you know, I guess that don't mean it wasn't just a big frog, because there are some decent sized bullfrogs that I've caught in this creek. There's a lot of briars, so that's why I don't really want to stick my hand, and especially not if it was a snake. But looks like our little mystery animal might just stay that, a mystery animal. But I mean, I'll keep looking. Maybe it'll pop up. Make a big noise though, like a turtle or something would. But, you know, I think a turtle I would have spotted by now. So, I guess that's just how it'll end. That's our little mystery animal. Stays a little mystery animal. But maybe I caught it on the GoPro what it was. At least I hope, because that would be cool. So, guess we'll just throw the minnow trap while the water's already murky. So what I use for bait in the minnow trap, I use, oh, I got a Cinco in here. Don't know why that's in there. Good little green sink. But what I use is dog food. The reason I use dog food is it's got like protein or meat and stuff in it. So there's a chance it'll catch crawdads and stuff, while like something like bread doesn't, and bread's just really nasty. So I don't really like using bread. And this is just like your average little minnow trap, the ones you can buy at Walmart, Bass Pro, wherever. Saw a few minnows, not as many as I would have liked, but I know that there are minnows in here pretty much. And I do have artificial baits for the situation where I don't actually catch enough minnows. Okay, guess that's where I'll tie it up real quick. I don't really have to worry about anyone stealing it, I don't think, but nah. This is more, not as much for if somebody steals it, but more for if it was to flood here. And I would love to know what our little mystery animal was, but it doesn't look like I'm gonna get to find out. Well, I'm just gonna end this part right here, but just know I probably tied it up to the tree by now. Okay, well, we tied the minnow trap. Hopefully we get like at least a dozen or so, and if not, I can always just go buy a minnow. Okay, we finally caught a little minnow in the net though. I'm pretty sure it's a minnow at least. It might be some baby trout, like fry, but I'm pretty sure it is just a minnow. And I am gonna just let, that one's perfect size. I have a little fish tank that's got just some like goldfish in it right now and a few minnows, so I'll get him a few friends while I'm here. Okay, now I'm gonna show off some of the gear I'm gonna be using at the river, because you all seen the clips from the creek. We only caught one minnow. This is the night before going to actually check the trap though, so we could have a ton of minnows. So we've got one little just bluegill pole just with a bluegill hook. So that's what we'll be using for the smaller minnows we catch. Then we've got one spinning reel with a bass rod, and then one bait caster with a bass rod, and pretty much I'm going to be just throwing bigger lures, like bigger bass lures on these. I think I mentioned this already, but the reason I'm just going to be doing that is the bigger bass lures can catch like the smallmouth that I know are in there. They can catch probably the walleye, pretty much anything in there. And I know they can catch the musky, because just about all the musky lures are usually just about the same as bass, since they're both sight feeding fish. It's just bigger. Then I've got like 2 catfish rods or bigger fish rods, and pretty much all I have on them is a metal leader, because if you don't know, muskies have a nasty jaw. this rod and this rod, and both I have circle hooks, which if you don't know, a circle hook is a hook that pretty much hooks the fish, like the fish hooks itself with it, which is pretty cool. And like I said, pretty much all the stuff I'm throwing is just oversized bass lures, just bigger, like minnow looking lures, big spooks, big spinner baits, big buzz baits, big whopper ploppers, and big swim baits. Pretty much all that kind of stuff. But the one lure I specifically want to talk about, which I kind of mentioned, is this. This is the Bass Pro Shop Tourney Special Minnow, something like that. And it is, I can't think of what the color is, but it's the only one that looks like this. Like it's black on the top, silver on the side, and red on the bottom. And pretty much how the action on this lure is, it goes just kind of, almost works like a crankbait, but like long instead of, you might could work it like a jerkbait, but I pretty much worked it like a crankbait the time I caught a muskie on one. But the thing was, it got hung on a leaf, so it was kind of floating, so it kind of worked like a topwater bait. And that's why the reason I've got two of these tied on. I've got one tied on, and I've got one that is a topwater bait, but around the same size, so we'll see. But I'm planning on mainly just using the live minnows I catch, so hopefully I catch a bunch. But I think this might actually be the exact one that I caught the muskie on. Maybe not, because I did lose a few of these, but this one does have some paint chips, almost like muskie's teeth would cause. So this might actually be the one. Maybe not, but I mean, this one's definitely been tied on and used before, so it's definitely had its experience trying to catch a muskie, and this might even be the exact one that caught a muskie, because the paint is pretty, but I mean, any lure, if you throw it long enough, will get like this. But yeah, so that's the lures we're going to be throwing, and I guess the next clip you'll see is actually going back to the creek and catching the minnows, and then I'll be catching, then we'll be at the actual Goose Creek trying to catch muskie. And also I'm going to do a little bass fishing after that, but I don't know if I'll actually put that part in, because really I'm just wanting this video, because it's already going to be a huge video, almost like a River Monsters length episode. But I'm mainly just wanting this to be about the muskie, and if we catch any more extra species, that's just a bonus. Okay, we're going to go check the minnow trap right now. This is the morning of the actual muskie fishing, so I'm really pumped. Hopefully we catch some muskie. Okay, nobody stole the trap. That's a good first sign. And I see minnows swimming around the trap, and looks like some are in it. Okay, so looks like we're good. Don't have to buy minnows. Okay, yeah, that looks like there's a lot more today than there was the other day. Hopefully I got a few. Yeah, we got a good little amount. Yeah, we got a few big ones. Okay, we're gonna get them out for fishing. I usually release the bigger ones just so I feel like some are of the breeding population stays. So I'm gonna release the biggest one, which is this one. That might have been the guy I was hooking when I went fishing the other day. So there he goes, but we will be keeping everyone else. Here's a bigger one that we are keeping. Water is pretty cold, but I'm just glad that we did get some minnows. These are about the perfect size though, where I could catch a muskie on them. Well, we got one more really big one that I'll let go. There he is. But all these other ones, we will be taking with us. Don't really want to get that dog food because it's not as nasty as bread in the water, but it still is pretty nasty. Here's the little pretty ones I was talking about. If I don't use all of them when we go fishing, I will keep some of them in the tank, but, you know, I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to cut to when I'm going to maul in the trap, and then we'll probably be musky fishing. I do want to show off the two different species. These are the two different species. These are the ones that get bigger, these like simpler colored ones. And there's these really pretty colored ones that get a little red coloration during the breeding time, which is right now. But that's the two difference when I said there's a variety. And also the darters. So there's a few different species of fish. And then the occasional bluegill and other fish that you can catch in here. Just about got them all. We've got a good, maybe a dozen. Good number though. Okay, last two. Oh, well, he got away. So I guess we let 3 go. One kind of let himself go, and then the 2 bigger ones we just let go. Okay, so that's all of our minnows. So I guess the next part you'll see, unless something else pops up, will be me actually musky fishing. So thank you all for watching up till this point. But here we should be at Goose Creek now. Okay, here we are actually at Goose Creek. Floater, yeah. Well, we're using live minnows right now. And I guess if one of us gets hooked up, I'll record again. We might have something on. Maybe. Crap. I think I might have had something. We'll see if I still have it. Oh. That minnow was hooked good, so looks like we had something pull it off, so hopefully it was musky. Okay, I think we might be in for a fish this time since I threw it right in front of a brush pile. Well, I'll wait till I'm actually reeling. Okay, we're having a little lure switch. I was throwing a whatever these are called, spooks. Well, I was going to put on a buzzbait, but I think I'm actually going to put on this big whopper plopper. Well, no, I'm going to go with buzzbait. The live minnows have not been bit yet, but hopefully that's about to change. Here we have our big black buzzbait. Which we're going to put on in just a second. And I guess I'll get a little bit of topwater action right now. Okay, we're throwing the 1/2 ounce black Guggen Squad buzzbait, and we're going to put a Rage Swimmer Pro Blue Red as the trailer. And if we get any cool blow-ups, I hope I get it on video. Okay, we're throwing the buzzbait now. I just threw out my minnow. Hopefully we get a good blow-up on camera. That would be awesome. If we don't have something on the minnow pole right now. Might just be the water. We're fishing a river. Yeah, I think it's just the water. So we'll recast this and then go with the buzzbait. I think we're still recording, right? Yeah. All right. We're gonna throw it right by that brush pile. Well, we're not. there, right by the brush pile. Oh, there's some crawdads. Okay, since I haven't seen any fish besides crawdads, which really aren't even fish, I'm just gonna throw this little thing just to see if we can catch anything. I still have the minnow out there though, so hopefully something bites it, but we're gonna try to at least catch something, because this can catch anything in the world. Bass, trout, just about anything. So, okay, now we're fishing with one of the bigger minnows that I caught in the trap. Well, one of the bigger ones that I kept. We're gonna go in this little deeper, well, I don't know if it's really deeper, but it's a little bit more secluded spot, like you actually have to walk to it. So hopefully we get one. And this minnow is so big that it's really only a walleye, smallmouth. I mean, maybe a really big rock bass could eat it, but it's gonna have to be something with some size. So hopefully we catch that musky on it. Okay, I just cast it out pretty far. I'm just gonna let it sit in between this stick and hopefully we get something, because this is that really big minnow. Okay, unfortunately it looks like we're not gonna catch anything. We threw the minnows, I threw a buzzbait, I threw a spook, I threw that minnow thing that I caught the last musky on, but it's just don't look like it's gonna happen. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I wish I could have had a musky to show y'all, but I did insert the clip, I guess, from earlier. So I guess we'll be back fishing for musky again, hopefully in the future, and hopefully that time it ends a little differently and we actually catch a musky. But I'm gonna be going bass fishing now, so maybe I'll throw in a few clips, maybe. But I really wish I could have caught a muskie to show y'all, and just for the fun of catching a muskie, obviously, but didn't happen. But thank you all so much for watching. If this is the end of the video, and we will be back for muskie, but you know, they don't call it the fish of 10,000 casts for nothing. Good little largemouth on the Zoom pink trick worm. Oh, that's a nice little largemouth. There he is. Pretty good sized fish. Okay, we're gonna get the release video. I like to release my fish like this. There he goes. Another good look. Oh. Another good largemouth. This one on an actual worm. I would like to throw him in, but I kind of got my boot mess. It was full of water last. Looks like he swam off somewhere. Monster green sunfish. This might be I think that's a green sunfish bluegill hybrid, actually. Because that's definitely not a pure bluegill. Okay, that's a little better of a size comparison next to my hand. We're gonna toss him in. Oh, he swam off. I usually like to do the little whatever, but it's kind of weedy around here, so it's kind of hard to do. Largemouth number 3. Largemouth number 3. Second largemouth on the Zoom trick worm. Third fish on the. Oh, he's wanting to come back. Okay, there he goes. Number. I don't even remember.
It started right now.
Oh, he's going the wrong way. There he goes. Okay, so I guess this is the actual going to be the ending of the video. So if I didn't explain everything clearly, so you know, we went and caught we went for the river and tried to catch muskie. Didn't catch anything, didn't even see any fish on the bank, just saw some crawdads, and that's it. Then we went to a few farm ponds. I caught a few bass. I think I recorded each of them and some other releases, and I caught one big hybrid bluegill. Probably a bluegill green sunfish mix because it had a really big mouth. And then I went to a few more farm ponds and then caught that catfish. I think it was actually a blue because the guy that owns that one's my cousin, and he said it was a blue. And I mean, he didn't say it was a blue, but he said there was blues in there. So it was either a little blue or a channel cat. And I could see it being either, but they're closely related, so I guess it don't really matter. But we didn't catch anything on any of the minnows, and I did use some of the minnows for bait, but I didn't use them all, so we're just going to let these ones go in the tank with the goldfish and the other minnows. Oh, and there's a monster tadpole. So thank you all so much for watching, and keep fishing. I think that's going to be our catchphrase at the end video. And one thing, a cool thing I want to show about this goldfish, it's got one eye. It's always had one eye. I don't really know how that happened, but ever since I got it at the pet store, it's been like that. Okay, so this is a couple days after making the video, and this is going to be the actual ending. I had a lot of fun making this video, even if I didn't catch my true target species, which was the muskie. And I had a lot of fun just making this video overall. Everything from planning on catching muskie, like the plan to catch muskie and all the possible fish I could have caught. Actually going to the little creek and trapping minnows. Actually trying to catch a muskie. And I had a ton of fun at the ponds, obviously, catching some largemouths. I either caught 3 or 4, maybe 5, somewhere around that. I had like 2 break off right at the bank, like throw over the hook. And then I caught that one really cool hybrid sunfish. I believe it was a bluegill green sunfish hybrid. And then I caught that one really cool catfish at the end. Caught it on a piece of shrimp, actually. I think it was a blue. It could have been a channel cat though, but it was one of those two species. Like I'm 100% sure it wasn't a flathead. I kind of think it was a blue though, just because it had like that sharper, almost like shark fin look. But it might have just been a channel cat and just kind of looked like that where its tail was kind of beat up. But all in all, I had a ton of fun making this video. And I know I didn't catch the true target species, the muskie, but it won't be the last time I try to catch muskie. So if you enjoyed this video as much as I did and want to see me try to catch a muskie again or any other cool fish around here, and I'm probably going to be fishing sometime in Florida this summer, so I'll have something then hopefully. But I had a lot of fun making this video, and if you enjoyed what you saw, I would love if you would subscribe or like the video or both. But just watching up to this point in the video was greatly appreciated. So thank y'all so much, and keep fishing.